Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show. I am Patrick Daugherty, waiting on a baby to be born. Talking to my today's co-host, Denny Carter, about hoping that doesn't happen during the show. That my wife is kind of the Iron Lady, and that if she goes into labor during the show, she probably won't tell me.
The important thing is that we have no backup plan. And
we actually don't. Yeah,
that's key here. Is I just want everyone to know the backup plan is me just talking off the cuff for about 30 minutes. So I might just start reading the book I'm currently
just start reading the phone book. Those still exist, right?
Definitely have a phone book.
Read your book. Read some of the Bad Faith times.
Right.
The off season is getting going. We're taking a spin on the quarterback carousel. The coaching carousel is over. A lot of quarterback news the past few days. Daniel Jones changing agents. Pro Football Talk reporting that he's apparently seeking $45 million plus per season. We'll get to that. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts and likely going beyond $50 million a year. A Jets Lamar Jackson connection. Jonathan Gannon talking about how he's going to use Kyler Murray. They're kind of trying to rank maybe the 5 most quarterback needy teams from the perspective of there's like 10 teams that need a quarterback, but maybe the 5 where like a quarterback would make the biggest difference. Say like the Jets, who would have made the playoffs last year. They had anyone who could play the quarterback position. So it's going to be a quarterback-themed episode. We'll just begin really quickly on, I've been waiting for this baby, so I haven't been traveling at all, Denny. First, you were on, the Super Bowl, a.k.a. Arlington, Virginia soundstage. Then you got sent to Las Vegas for the FSGA conference. Got to see a lot of our friends.
Yeah.
People are saying they actually did send you to this one, that you were in Nevada. So just how was Vegas?
Yeah.
How did it go?
It was good. It was Vegas. It was alternately a lot of fun and the saddest place in America because
Vegas really has that duality.
There's definitely a sad vibe to Vegas, but I had fun losing money in blackjack. That's something I enjoy doing. I actually, if you don't mind, I just have a quick blackjack story. So I sat down and with an undisclosed amount of money, and I got down to about 5% of that money after being just crushed by what I'll call variance. Some would call it bad luck. And by the way, I follow the process, folks. I'm a process-oriented guy. I abide by it. Okay, so I'm not going off the cuff on any of these hands. Okay, I'm not going by gut feel. I'm ignoring.
You enjoy being poor because it's all about gut feel.
It's as if a robot is playing. So I get down to about 5% of my original money for blackjack, and I actually do take great pleasure in reporting I grinded my way back up to 100% of the cash I started with, and then I cashed out. I said I'm done.
I thought you were going to say that you finally succumbed to making a gut call, and then you were rewarded.
I was no, I didn't. I would never do that. But yeah, it you know what, Pat? It felt like a win. It was not a win. I ended up with just as much money.
Yeah, but you, quote, broke even.
That I started. Yes, I broke even. The casino still stands today. I didn't take down the casino. Some were wondering if I had done that, but no. But man, that felt like a win. It felt pretty good.
Did you get a drink coupon for breaking even by any chance?
I did ask for a Miller Lite at one point, and I'm still waiting on that Miller Lite. Actually.
They haven't had Miller Lite in Vegas since the mob doesn't run the town anymore.
It never came. I also wanted to shout out Vegas for having $13 bottles of water.
Oof, man. I'll tell you, the first thing I noticed in Vegas is when you get off, like when you are leaving the concourse in the airport, like go to baggage claim, there's a giant sign that has 2 destinations written on it. One is baggage claim and the other is liquor store. And I had never seen that in an airport before. And that's when I knew Vegas was different, was built different.
It is built different. There was one experience I had that was very Vegas. I was actually watching the golf tournament at Riviera, which is in LA. So I was on West Coast time watching the West Coast event, and I was watching on like a 25-foot TV at Caesar's at Caesar's Palace, right? So I needed to use the bathroom, go in the bathroom. There is a man just standing in the bathroom, not doing much. He has a long red robe on and dark sunglasses. And he says to me, "I'm here, but I'm not." I said, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. He said, and then he said it was either the robe or a suit. I chose the robe.
Was it the ghost of Hunter S. Thompson? No,
It-
he would never
it-
dress that flashy, actually.
Just looking at this man, I would say that he had a Hunter S. Thompson type of night. The night.
Yeah. Well, like curious that you were at Caesars and not BetMGM, Denny.
You're right, and I made my bets at BetMGM or at the MGM Grand. I want to make that clear to all NBC executives.
I've stayed at the MGM. They have the best lines, Denny. I had one more observation in Vegas, but mostly all my Vegas opinions. I've only been to the city for like 2 days. All my opinions are on the airport, which I think is just horrible. They need an airport.
It is a terrible airport, and I went to the wrong baggage claim with my wife.
You went to the liquor store.
No, I just went to and I had to go across the entire airport to go get my bag. It had been taken off of the turnstile thing, and I had to seek it out. So that was stressful and not fun.
That's down outrageously bad. You were so wrong about the baggage claim. You just waited that long.
I had to catch a shuttle.
Did someone come up to you? Was like, first flight, sir?
Yeah, and the shuttle guy was all closed up and ready to go, and I knocked on the door. I was like, "Excuse me, can I get on?" And he opens the door. He goes, "Get on!" And so I get on the shuttle, and he turns to one of his coworkers, one of his colleagues outside, and he goes, "This is my last trip for the day. You know where I'll be." And then he shut the door.
Oh my gosh!
I was like, "Welcome to Vegas. Welcome to Vegas."
Always such tenderness from airport employees. They always have the gentlest touch with us woebegone travelers. But no, you didn't go to the baggage claim because you went to the liquor store. You took out a $20 bill and said 2 White Claws, please. And you were informed that was only enough for 1.5 White Claws. And then you lost your bag.
That's right. And as you know, I will not have more than 2.5 White Claws at a time.
Never have more than 2.5. We will never have more than 5.5 minutes of riffing, which we just did. We're finished. We're moving on to the quarterback talk. And Daniel Jones, Denny, sending shockwaves through the nation on this holiday Monday, President's Day, Warren G. Harding Day, Chester A. Arthur Day. Pro Football Talk reporting that Daniel Jones is seeking $45 million plus per year. And we know this has become a champagne position, and like, don't hate the player, hate the game. But I think that maybe I would not pay Daniel Jones $45 million, which it sounds like the Giants are not. Mike Florio is reporting they're probably going to franchise tag him, which is still an astronomical $32.1 million. But I mean, I think that's definitely like, make Daniel Jones, you're talking about blackjack, like, make Daniel, maybe what's the blackjack analogy I'm looking for with Daniel Jones here?
Well, yeah, I mean,
make him do it again, basically.
Signing him for $45 million is hitting on 19 when the dealer has a 4.
Yes. Make him do it again. Do not. I mean, and I don't think. If Daniel Jones actually reached the open market, I mean, I can't believe any team would have that valuation. I mean, no one's going to be like, well, I think our coach knows better what to do with Daniel Jones than Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll, the first guy to ever unlock Daniel Jones. I took a stat from a local guy in here, St. Louis, ESPN 101's Brandon Kiley tweeted that Daniel Jones has more career fumbles and interceptions than total touchdowns still.
Wow.
Even after his excellent 2022. I mean, the $45 million, maybe it's just a posture, and where if they do a multi-year deal to get him closer, they're like $40 million a year. I just don't see any planet where 45.
So Daniel Jones is both his passing EPA and his rushing EPA increased significantly this year compared to the last 2 years with Joe Judge as the head coach. And that almost goes without saying, because it couldn't have been worse with Judge at the helm, and Brian Daboll knows what he's doing. Okay. And I really like that Brian Daboll as a long-term option. I don't like Daniel Jones as a long-term option, even with the improved numbers, that he cut way back on turnovers on mistakes.
He did. I think he might have led the league in interception percentage. No, don't know why I interrupted you though. Continue.
No, I think that's correct. Even with all that, if you put stock in Pro Football Focus grades, he was ranked 20th, the 20th best passer of the season, despite all that improvement behind guys like Kenny Pickett, Jared Goff, and Ryan Tannehill. He also he refused to attack downfield. He still had one of the lowest downfield passing percentages in the league. So we actually know he can do it because he has been somewhat successful. We talked about this. We were both horrified to learn that he's actually a pretty good downfield thrower. Just doesn't do it. But the most important thing going for Daniel Jones right now is that playoff game against Minnesota was really good.
I believe he, quote, swagged out.
And all that. Yes, that's the fifth time I've heard you say that today. And sometimes that's all that matters, is that on a big stage, he stepped up, played really well as both a passer and a rusher. And, maybe, I know he's probably going to get tagged, but teams would be interested in him. I think there are at least a couple teams that would break the bank for him.
I just don't know, where I feel like savvier front offices are going to be like, unless we have a Brian Dable to help progressing this guy, like, this probably won't be worth the financial risk. And just like, too, like putting him in another system, like, would it be like his fifth system in like 5 years? I guess teams could, though, tell the opposite tale if he somehow did reach the open market. It doesn't seem like he's going to reach the open market. But if he did reach the open market, they could tell themselves the story, well, he had this breakout year and he didn't even have any receivers, because he didn't. I mean, the joke of a receiver core, obviously. By the way, him not going – if I were Daniel Jones, I would simply unlock Darius Slayton, by the way. I would do that.
Slayton's good. I don't know.
That's what I mean. Like, throw to him, maybe.
What is the deal? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Why no one? Well, I guess Darius Slayton is. You mentioned that Vikings game. He did have a crippling drop that may have, quote, cost them the season. Because remember, at the end of the game, he could have ended the game, and he dropped a third down pass. They ended up winning anyway, of course.
Well, one of the worst drops of the year. Yeah,
one of the worst drops ever. But I think, man, either it should be the franchise tag, or there needs to be like a Tannehill type situation where it's like a 2 or 3 year deal.
Yeah,
it's more money than he should be getting, but less money than he ultimately wants. Maybe around $40 million a year, which I'm saying now it sounds like a bargain. It's crazy, but I would definitely. I think the Giants should just franchise tag him and make him do it again. Like, that can get really, really expensive, because if he does do it again, then you're looking at, you've cost yourself a ton of money. Like, if Daniel Jones happens to actually be good. But this seems like a situation where you've got to make the young man do it again.
Well, I think you saw his deficiencies on full display the week after that win against the Vikings, against the Eagles, where he stood no chance. And that goes hand in hand with a lot of his, very, like I said, very much improved 2022 campaign. You can't take that away from him, and I'm not trying to. I will say that he is a product of game script, like a lot of quarterbacks who are not great, right? And so they play from ahead, and things are okay for Daniel Jones. They play from behind, and things generally collapse.
Yeah, they totally collapse if they're playing from behind, basically. And he did somehow lead the league in interception percentage, by the way. So it'll be the lowest percentage of his passes picked. Like, that's absolutely crazy coming from early career. Daniel Jones really, really cut down on the fumbles too. So maybe he has solved the turnover issue, which was like the bare minimum of what he needed to do to revive his career. And he went beyond the bare minimum in 2022. But, I mean, he's just a fascinating case. See, we can have such a long conversation about him, like such a many sides conversation, because it is just like a totally fascinating case. Like, a guy we didn't love as a prospect, then a guy that's got horrible coaching the first 3 or 4 years of his career, and now has finally found a coach, finally made some improvement. But the quarterback salaries are just kind of just in no man's land right now. Like, we've entered into like the next era of quarterback salaries, and just like makes your eyes water.
I think it's clear that teams will do anything just to have a chance at getting that long-term answer at quarterback, just to have a shot.
And there's just no way Daniel Jones is more than like I feel like his best case scenario is being like the next Ryan Tannehill, which is fine. But that is valuable. I guess I shouldn't undersell it. That is valuable. But I feel like if you're getting on the Daniel Jones carousel, like that's what you're hoping for. It's the Ryan Tannehill 2.0. He's a better runner than Ryan Tannehill, I guess. But
yeah, I think so. Well, at this point in their careers, for sure.
Yeah, well, definitely at this point in their careers. Enough about quarterbacks who may or may not be good. We have a quarterback who we know is very, very good now in Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is probably, honestly, the best quarterback in the NFC at this point. And ESPN's Dan Graziano, I'm sorry, Dan, I always forget how to pronounce your last name, reports the price has likely gone to $50 million a year or more for Jalen Hurts, which again just sounds crazy. like you go through the list of NFC teams, like is there an NFC quarterback that you think is like clearly better than Jalen Hurts at this point, Denny?
NFC quarterback? No.
Dak Prescott is, I guess, would be. I mean, Aaron Rodgers if he stays
Absolutely
in the NFC.
not, no.
I mean, God, Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I mean, no, in the NFC, no, absolutely not. When you combine, so I'm going to get really geeky here for just a second, because I tweeted in support of a monster extension for Hurts, and I was actually surprised. I really was at the amount of pushback, a lot of pushback, some of it was silly, some of it was like he fumbled in the Super Bowl.
Well, first off, you shouldn't have done this in your grandmother's nursing home on Valentine's Day. They were just trying to have a good time.
You're right. You're right. That was my fault, but
that was your fault. Anyways,
but yeah, and I talked about how Deshaun Watson is going to make $55 million in this coming year, and how Kyler Murray starting in 2024 is going to make $51.5 million. So I think Jalen Hurts is better than those guys. I didn't think that was a controversial statement, but apparently it is extremely controversial, and I have insulted the group of people I did not think existed, which are Kyler Murray truthers.
We used to be Legion.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess they tunneled underground over the past 2 years, and now they're coming back. So the only two quarterbacks with a higher combined EPA plus completion rate over expected. Okay, geek. I'm going to get geeky. Yeah, okay, but this is a great measurement of a player's really rushing and passing ability. Right?
A stat my 4-year-old son can understand.
Yeah, my 68-year-old dad cannot understand.
Yeah. So. Continue though.
Only two guys higher than him: Mahomes and Tua. That's the list. And yeah, Tua is up there.
So yeah, it's an indictment of the list. Tua is quickly becoming the new Jimmy G. He's in a Shanahan-inspired system. And so the computers just love the man so much. Chat GPT cannot get enough of our guy Tua.
Right. I mean, I think that Shanahanian system can make a good quarterback look great statistically. But yeah, so Hurts is way up there this year. I'm scrolling down, Pat, because I'm looking for Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray is ranked 24th in this metric. Just below Derek Carr and Kenny Pickett. So what I'm saying is Hurts is way better. And I think that the Eagles need to absolutely base their entire future on Jalen Hurts under center. The great thing about Hurts, really, I know he missed some time with the shoulder injury, but for a mobile quarterback, first of all, he's strong as hell. Okay. He's big framed, so he's when he takes hits, they're not as tragic as some other mobile quarterbacks. And
he's so strong. He is
really smart about taking hits. He angles out of bounds. He slides. Okay, he doesn't need to. He doesn't always do it, but he's a very smart rusher. Combine that with a guy who is not just passable, but really a good passer. I think you have a franchise making quarterback.
The thing about Hurts is he's progressed to the point where he basically played a perfect game in the Super Bowl, except for we talked about his deep ball, which has never been like the best deep ball, was lacking in the Super Bowl because of the shoulder injury, more than likely. But he basically played a perfect game in the Super Bowl. I mean, aside from the lost fumble, which that was just a definition of a fluke play. It wasn't a soft fumble. He just lost it somehow. It wasn't a very, very unfortunate mistake there, but Hurts, I mean, I just think he is kind of unquestionably the best quarterback in the NFC now. And the only bad thing about that is for the Eagles, they're just kind of like blow up their formula now, because they were like the classic, have like a really low quarterback cap number and have the rest of the roster be totally stacked, which the rest of the Eagles roster is just totally stacked. That's not going to be a luxury they can have anymore. But having an amazing quarterback who needs to get paid is a good problem to have. And yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, that was just like the definition of a breakout year. And yeah, you do wonder about like the long-term upside hurt. I just feel like his arm is not amazing. But even with his hurt arm in the Super Bowl, though, like he was lofting these deep balls and like he was compensating for the lack of arm drive with like almost like perfect timing and placement. Like I don't think people really realize quite how much he progressed as a passer last year. Like he is just the complete package. and they've got to pay him. And it's going to sting to go from low cap number to monstrous cap number, but they just have no choice. And
no,
he's a luxury they should be very, very thankful to have.
What are they going to do? Let him walk or franchise him? Their franchise tag him and then let him walk? No, I mean, come on. No. You hit on a guy like this. You keep him around for as long as you can.
I think they will extend him this offseason too, instead of franchise tagging him next year. Because the Eagles have always been a very proactive franchise, and the quarterback cap numbers are only going to go higher. I do think they will get out in front and franchise tag him this year. You're talking about Jalen Hurts a lot in relation to Kyler Murray, where you flagged some comments from the new Cardinals coach, Jonathan Gannon, about how he's going to use Kyler Murray. And I thought they were very interesting. Last week, Denny, when you were not here, we talked about we put a bow on the coaching cycle, me, Kyle, and Corain. And like none of us were like overly impressed with the Gannon hire, but we didn't think it was like a bad hire. Like we basically decided Gannon was like the worst hire of the cycle, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. But that if he's the worst hire, it's like a good overall cycle. I mean, he had a horrible Super Bowl. We know all about that. We talked about that ad nauseum on the podcast
really bad
the past 2 weeks. But first off, tell people what the comments were he had about Kyler, and then tell us your take on the comments he had on Kyler.
Yeah, so he had an interesting take on Kyler, and I'll read some of the quote he had during his introductory press conference. Gannon said that I think this offense will look much different, I guess, under his guidance. He says, quote, "This guy," talking about Kyler, "does things that it completely handcuffs you how you play defense. I think we can take him to another level and unleash his full skill set. We're not going to put him in the shotgun at all times. I'll tell you that. We'll have two significant offenses with his skill set, one being under center and one being in the gun. Then obviously we're going to do what's comfortable for him." Now it goes on and on. The point is that Kyler Murray has been in shotgun basically exclusively since coming into the NFL, and Gannon is saying we are going to have more under center plays. I don't really know where this is coming from because Jalen Hurts was among the league leaders in shotgun usage this season. So he comes, from a system. I mean, I know he was defense, but he comes from a team that had great success with a shotgun based offense. But maybe this is a way of reducing, I don't know, the load on Kyler Murray as the team's lone playmaker, and maybe that's good for him.
It was interesting. I actually didn't know that stat about the Eagles in shotgun. I mean, when I pictured the Eagles offense, I picture them in shotgun, but I just kind of assumed that they had a decent amount of under center. So it shows what I know.
They were among the league leaders. Now here's another quote from Gannon. He says they were in gun all the time. When you're in gun all the time, you don't make the defense defend certain types of plays. Now, when you get Kyler under center, the defense has to defend a lot more types of plays. So there's two offenses for us. I mean, it's something I don't think I've ever heard a coach say we're going to have two offenses. But
no, and it seems kind of like wishful thinking, but I think he's maybe getting like two separate things in kind of like weird roundabout ways where this maybe just his like long convoluted way of saying like the Cardinals offense was just way too predictable.
That's right.
And maybe not like a shotgun or under center thing, but one of the most vanilla, predictable offenses, like a no plan B offense whatsoever under Cliff Kingsbury the past few years. I mean, it was just painful to watch at times where they seriously had no backup plan ever. Like it was just pitch and catch from shotgun with Kyler and like just really uncreative play design, really horizontal. And that just might've been his convoluted way of saying, we cannot be so predictable. So like one trick pony on offense. And also just maybe even his memory screwed up on how often the Eagles went under center, but might also just be his long-winded way of saying, like, I'm coming from a team where we had a very versatile offense that could beat teams multiple ways. And this is a way of just saying, we're going to try to be game plan specific. We're going to try to be really versatile and not just have to rely solely, on shotgun passing to beat you. And where he's just kind of making simple points in very long-winded ways. But I thought it was interesting where he's basically saying, I want to be like the guy who hired me in Philadelphia. I want to be like Nick Sirianni, and I want to have a versatile adaptable offense. Is kind of what my ultimate takeaway from it was.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an adjustment for Kyler for sure. We're talking about a guy who has been under center on 2.9% of his NFL snaps. That is a league low. The only guy around, only two guys in that vicinity since 2020 are Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. As far as shotgun usage.
And I'm surprised you didn't get in a gratuitous short jab at Kyler, because under center, we know that you have questioned Kyler's height many times in the past.
I would never. He's tall. He's a tall man.
Taller than you and I are. We're very average height. He's slightly above average.
I don't know.
He's probably about our height, actually. I think he's close to our height. Another thing with these Jonathan Gannon comments, the part you left the part out at the beginning of the comics. It wasn't. Didn't matter to what you were talking about, but I found the way Jonathan Gannon's handling Kyler Murray pretty interesting, because we've had a lot of coaches in recent years come into these situations with just a totally new situation, kind of like an up in the air quarterback situation. Kyler's contract's not up in the air at all, but his play has been, and they've gone very, very tough love. Even Nick Sirianni took forever to commit to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
We talked about that a lot. He would not commit to Jalen Hurts. So I wouldn't have been surprised if Jonathan Gannon came in and was be like, no one's bigger than the team. Kyler's going to have to get with the program just like anyone else. Where he is doing the exact opposite, where he said, if Kyler Murray isn't here, I don't take this job, so on and so forth. There's really, really praising Kyler Murray and going the complete opposite tack of what he could have done. I thought the Cardinals might hire a hard ass and try to be like take the car keys away from Kyler. I'm the leader of this team. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Gannon has taken the exact opposite approach. And I mean, it's very fascinating to say what mind game to play with a guy like Kyler Murray, basically. And he's going the very positive route.
Gannon is such a player-friendly coach that he makes laser noises when he meets players. I don't know if you saw that.
It's true. Though he said bordering on cringe videos.
Bordering?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the more cringe things I've seen in recent memory. Pew 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 pew. Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. He said some cringe videos, didn't he?
Gannon, yeah, get a hold of yourself, man. I mean, I know you're young and excited. that video that he posted was also a selfie video. Cardinals Nation. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna work hard. So.
Cardinals Nation. We're riding directly into the sun. And the social media guy whispering off my, that's supposed to be good.
Wow. Sun's hot. We're hotter.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna pilot this right into the sun and just see what happens. Cardinals Nation, we are riding 93 million miles away. We'll be right back after this. Every season is draft season. Get your Rotoworld Draft Guide bundle today and dominate your football, baseball, and basketball drafts. Packed with profiles, rankings, projections. Order today and get all 3 Rotoworld Draft Guides for the price of 2. Plus, use promo code BUNDLE5 to save an extra $5 at checkout. That is promo code BUNDLE5 to save an extra $5 at checkout. And, of course, do not forget to download the Rotoworld app to receive breaking player news all off-season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your rosters. Get the latest injury updates, free agent updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in your app store today. Denny, you going to be checking out the Rotoworld Baseball Draft Guide for all your baseball drafts that you're doing?
Of course. I can't wait to grind baseball DFS for approximately 2 weeks and then give up.
So that's true. Yeah, Denny won't be reading the Rotoworld Draft Guide, but I really will be. You all should. Matthew Poliat's rankings are amazing. The player profiles are amazing. Fantasy baseball draft season. I've had a minor, my 4th child, Denny, and this I do. I'm gonna have 4 kids. Swear to God, I'm not crazy. It's not some weird thing. We just happen to really like kids.
That sounds like it.
Anyways, I've warned my wife that
the
first big post baby event for me is going to be my home league baseball draft, and already getting a little static on it.
I don't blame her, honestly.
I don't either. Getting a little static on it.
Hey, can you tell me one thing about baseball? Is there something even resembling like a 0 RB strategy where you just completely go all in on a certain position grouping or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, fantasy baseball is amazing because there's so many different crazy things you can do compared to football because the player pool is so much deeper and the player pool is replenished all season long. So, I mean, there's lots of people who like only take power early and like, I'm going to find innings on the waiver wire.
Okay.
It's much easier to punt categories in baseball because first off, there's just way more categories. Well, a lot of times it is just roto based too, but a lot of baseball is head to head with categories and not total scoring. So you go head to head in the 10 or 12 categories that week, and it's not just total points. So you can make the decision to. A lot of people now just punt saves because closing has gotten so weird. There aren't nearly as many set closers anymore.
Yeah.
People punted steals for a long time because steals have been way down, but this is not a joke, Denny. They've made the bases bigger this year.
I know. I saw. They're really big.
They're big. There was a viral image that was wrong. That was a joke. Some people were falling for it. They're not as big as one of the viral image was, but they are much bigger. But yeah, baseball, there's the kind of builds you can do in season-long baseball are almost literally limitless.
Really? Okay. So one is just to take power hitters for the first 4 or 5 rounds?
Yeah, big one is just to like operating under the assumption that it's always going to be easier to find innings than power on the waiver wire.
Okay.
But even that has kind of been turned on its head because starting pitcher innings are at an all-time low. They were at a true all-time low in 2021. They ticked up ever so slightly in 2022. But so baseball, is going through yet another revolution. But yeah, it used to be there's a lot of people believe in just take the offense, worry about the pitching later. You can always improve your pitching staff. You can't always find someone who's going to hit 30 home runs. But even that is being tested.
Yeah, it sounds like I tend to lean in that direction. I want the offense.
Season-long fantasy baseball is honestly like the most fun chess match there is in fantasy sports. It is so much fun.
It's a war of attrition. It's whoever's standing at last.
Well, no, that's the thing is that fantasy football honestly is much more of a war of attrition.
Really?
Baseball, there's a lot of injuries. Yeah. But like baseball too, like one injury is not going to ruin your season.
Oh, okay.
Where like if your second round pick, it's a big deal, gets injured in fantasy baseball, like you don't want that. But your season's not just like automatically over. Where in football, Christian McCaffrey hurt in week 3, like, well, I just lit $100 bill on fire. Hope Ben Franklin likes burning in hell.
I will say I remember some good sweats back when Sunday night sweats when I used to play the 10 category fantasy baseball, where I would have a guy playing Sunday night baseball and needed 2 hits, and to get over the hump. And you're just, 9th inning, the guy's up and you're just tilting your face off. Please, one time. It's
insane. There's so many games in baseball and it always somehow comes down to Sunday night baseball. It's crazy. I love standard 5x5, but I always make it 6x6 where I add quality starts and on base percentage, Denny.
That's good. That's good. Oh, and by the way, I know we'll get back to football in a second, but the change in the shift, there's no more shift, right?
There's no more shift, but there's going to be some shenanigans still, though.
Does that inflate certain guys' value? I mean, it's got to change their value completely.
A lot of people think that the changes won't be as drastic as people are hoping.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, left-handed power hitters, aside from like the truly elite left-handed power hitters, we're just getting driven to like extinction.
Okay.
And a lot of right-handed guys were getting shifted too and like having their careers altered. Like I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Like Matt Carpenter just had his career ended by the shift.
Really?
He just like couldn't. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I'll just hit it the other way."
I know.
Rod Carew hit it the other way. So well, yeah. Now they throw 98-mile-an-hour sinkers and 99-mile-an-hour sliders. So you can't really just go the other way as easily.
And Rod Carew was hitting against plumbers.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. And so that's fantasy baseball is crazy this year because a lot of people are trying to game out what the effects of all these rule changes are going to be.
Right.
And the answer is just no. Like no one really knows. It's going to be totally different. Speaking of totally different, Denny.
Yes.
NBC Sports' Peter King, I've heard of him, believes the New York Jets could seriously consider, quote, trading for Lamar Jackson if they are unable to acquire Aaron Rodgers. Certainly seems like they're going to be unable to acquire Aaron Rodgers, who already, I think he was on your flight to Vegas last week, right? And Aaron Rodgers.
Is he out of the darkness? I lost track.
No, I think he's still in the darkness. But he wants to join the darkness, though. The silver and black is my impression. He still could go to the Jets, but Peter King, if they strike out. So they're the second team in a row that's like tried to do like a Nathaniel Hackett honeypot for Aaron Rodgers, like, hey, we hired Nathaniel Hackett. Now you got to sign
yeah.
here. And then he just doesn't.
It worked. It worked for Denver. It's not
it worked for Denver. It will work for the Jets. I don't even know what the question is here other than what would Lamar to the Jets?
I honestly, like, I think Robert Saleh is a good coach. I think that it was a huge mistake to let go of not McDaniel.
Mike LaFleur. Yeah.
Mike LaFleur.
It wasn't. I know. I think it was a humongous
huge mistake. I don't know. I don't know why he had to fall on the sword. He was not the problem. I think you put Lamar in that offense with all those pieces.
It would have been
a healthy
extraordinary
line. I think the Jets are a terrifying team.
I do too.
So I mean, I would have to apologize to all my Jets haters on Twitter and say, I'm now a Jets fan. They should make this happen. This is my opinion. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a whatever it takes. Much more so than some of the whatever it takes quarterbacks recently. I mean, much more so than Russell Wilson, even before the weirdness. I would have said that last year, obviously. Much more so than Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
But just the idea of Lamar with Nathaniel Hackett is so depressing. Like, so depressing.
It is. And that's why I guess I don't want it to happen, really, is because Nathaniel Hackett at best is a mediocre play caller, is a mediocre offensive coordinator. So I feel like it's a recipe for disaster for Lamar with Hackett. But man, that offense is begging for like just a viable quarterback. So you don't have to, obviously it's not Lamar or bust, but for the Jets. But I think Derek Carr would be a very nice fit for the Jets. I think they would be a playoff team with him.
Oof, man, I don't know. Derek Carr does seem like maybe he used to be perennial fool's gold, but no, I agree. They make the playoffs
compared to Zach Wilson.
Yeah, they make the playoffs last year if they have Derek Carr. There is zero debate there. So I was trying to tie a bunch of things together. We'll get into. We're going to talk about maybe like the 5 quarterback neediest teams. And I think the 2 quarterback neediest teams from a literal needs perspective, they don't have a quarterback, and just like a roster improvement perspective. Like if they get this quarterback, they're instantly a viable team. I think number 1 is the Jets because it was just clear. Like you could just see it with your own eyes last year. Like if this team had a quarterback, they were a playoff team. Like it really good simple.
Team. Yes, absolutely. They didn't score a touchdown the last 3 weeks.
No, it's really that simple. If they had a quarterback, they would have been a playoff team. I think the second team, maybe I'm overrating the talent on this team. I think it's the Panthers. And you wanted to talk about the Panthers putting together a really good coaching staff. I think the Panthers, if they have a great quarterback-minded head coach in Frank Reich, or if they got a quarterback, I think, especially in that division, there's like a dangerous playoff team. So to me, they're the 2 teams where landing a quarterback would make the biggest difference. And in my head, when I've thought about the Lamar Jackson situation, going back to like November, I like viewed like the Panthers as like a stalking horse for him and what would be like an amazing fit for him. And what do you agree that the Panthers are maybe on the Jets level of like they're like at least a good team if they land Lamar Jackson? And where would you rather see him if you could choose? Would you rather see him with the Jets or the Panthers? Or maybe talk about the Panthers coaching staff.
Man, I mean, I think the Panthers are building a really great coaching staff. Obviously, Frank Reich was a great hire. Offensive coordinator Thomas Brown, who was a hot name on the market this season. You have Deuce Staley as the running backs coach. They hired Josh McCown as the quarterbacks coach. Offensive line is James Campen, who is very well thought of in league circles. I mean, this team found a way with basically nothing in the offense except for DJ Moore, and with Sam Darnold under center for most of it. They found a way to almost make the playoffs in a very bad NFC South. Now you have a Brady-less Bucks team, okay, that's going to be down bad for years.
I love that word, Brady-less.
Brady-less. I do too. It's actually sick how much I love it.
I know. Me too. Sorry, some people might not understand the Brady hate. You don't understand what it was like. We were there on the ground floor. I mean, I was literally a St. Louis Rams fan. You have to understand what we've been through.
20 years of torture at the hand.
You got to understand. I mean, the Brady's coming out party was against my team when I was in high school. So you just have to understand where this hate comes from. Okay,
and I was a Dolphins fan, so
yeah,
that was also very tough.
You got to know where we're coming from when we've hated this man for 2 decades.
Falcons down so bad, and the Saints. Come on. Saints are a bottom 5 team. So I think the Panthers are in a really good position. Also, they also got another what the Zoomers are calling hot coach this week in wide receivers coach Sean Jefferson. So I think it all lines up to a team that could easily take the South, could easily make the playoffs. And I know we just talked about the Jets having a lot of really good offensive pieces, but I think stability-wise and the fact that the Panthers don't have Nathaniel Hackett, if I had to choose one destination for Lamar, it might be Carolina.
I think the Panthers, just listening to you talk, made a variety of good points. Might be a better push-button job than even the Jets, even though I like the Jets' overall 53-man roster talent better. I mean, that's a division with Bill Belichick, with Josh Allen, with a Dolphins team that just made the playoffs. Or like if you slap a quarterback on this Panthers team, you slap Lamar Jackson on this Panthers team, they're just the runaway favorite in that division.
Yeah.
Where the Jets, you put even Lamar Jackson on the Jets, they're not going to be the betting favorites to win the AFC East. The Bills will be. They're just the runaway favorites for the NFC South. If they landed a player of Lamar Jackson's caliber, even if they landed Aaron Rodgers, the Panthers would be the runaway favorites for the NFC South in 2023. So the Panthers might honestly be like the team. Like if you put a quarterback on this team, like you're looking at a playoff team, even more than the Jets. I've switched my own argument in the middle of our show.
I know. Well, I think the difference is I think the Jets personnel overall is better.
It unquestionably is.
I think the coaching situation in Carolina has really, really improved since the start of last season with Matt Rule. So we're hoping that makes the difference here.
I sent you a list of teams. I kind of ranked them in order, but so we talked about the Jets, we talked about the Panthers. Who do you think? So a list of teams I sent you is the Commanders, the Raiders, the Bucks, Saints, the Falcons, the Colts. Were teams that at least in theory could be transformed into at least like an interesting team if they land a good quarterback.
Yeah.
After the Jets and the Panthers, who do you think would be the most dangerous team from that list of, say they landed like a Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers, even a Derek Carr, etc. Who do you think is the next most dangerous team from, again, the Commanders, Raiders, Bucks, Saints, Falcons, Colts?
Commanders, Raiders, Saints. Definitely not the Colts.
No, I put the Colts last. I did put the Colts last there. Well, they could be a little lively. Like they're not like if they got an actual good quarterback, like I wouldn't be shocked if they went like 10-7. Even though the roster is deteriorating, I wouldn't be shocked if they went like 10-7.
I don't know. I have trouble with that one. I guess the Raiders are in a decent position.
I think the next tier after the Jets and Panthers is the Raiders and the Commanders. So speak on the Raiders.
Yeah, I struggled with those two, but I would go with the Raiders. I mean, just the fact that you have Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs right there. I mean, I think that those are that makes that offense very, very appealing. Not to mention Darren Waller.
You're gonna do Hunter Renfrow like that?
I am gonna do Hunter Renfrow like that. And I think it makes it a really appealing spot for Aaron Rodgers, actually. And I think that with him, they're probably a playoff team. Although
I don't know, the division is such a stumbling block.
I mean, is the division really that intimidating? Besides the Chiefs,
I mean, you have the guaranteed like conference number one seed in your division, and then you have some underachieving type teams, but you do have Justin Herbert, I mean, who is coming off a playoff berth, and you do have Sean Payton. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think you a Broncos team that at best will be mid, as the kids say.
Oh man.
I think you have a perennially mid Chargers team.
Oof.
Okay. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't get what the beyond the Chiefs, that division is not scary.
It's not scary as it was constituted in 2022. I do think there's been some facelifts, and the Chargers are taking steps to unlock Justin Herbert. They got off the Joe Lombardi train. mean, Sean Payton he is a game changer for Denver. Or at the very least, like, even if like they go like 7-10, like you've got just too much tougher divisional games there than you did last year, where the Broncos were just a joke, and they were like one of the layovers on your flight to the AFC Championship game. They did play the Chiefs weirdly tough last year.
I think Washington is interesting here as a landing spot. I do think Sam Howell has appeal, has long-term appeal, not as like a game breaking type play, but as a game manager, I think that he can be fine in that role. In fact, I think
Sam Howell seems destined to be like the next heartbreaker to me.
I don't know. I think the Commanders really messed up in not giving him half a season under center.
They did the worst of both worlds, where like it's like there's like basically not a worse thing, because even like really smart football people, like you can understand that it was only one game, but even if you're the most process oriented person in the world, you're gonna I can't read too much into one game. But man, it was quite a one game. Am I right, folks?
It was like pretty good.
They left this one impression of their head of Sam Howell where like it really could tempt them, I think, to making a horrible decision. Like Sam Howell, no one should go into the season with Sam Howell as their unquestioned star.
He should have some competition for sure.
Like they needed to give him like a 5 or 6 game, but I guess they couldn't because they were in the playoff mix. But they had the worst of both worlds now, where they did give him a look, but it was for one game, and it created like an unrealistic.
I think Eric Bieniemy brings a modern notion of football to Washington that has been sorely lacking under Ron Rivera. And I mean, not to speak too long on this, but the awkwardness of Bieniemy clearly being the head coach in waiting when Rivera's still there. I mean, I don't really know how that's going to be.
Eric Bieniemy should just be the head coach of the Commanders.
I think that would be the move. Was to right after the season say, Ron, thank you for your service. We're going with a more innovative, modern approach to the game, because
Rivera is just
the boomer stuff, the boomer football that Ron Rivera preaches, it just can't work in today's game. Hyper conservative on fourth downs. The Riverboat Ron thing, no more of that. Okay.
Riverboat Ron was just known as Cam Newton doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah, right. He was saying, Cam Newton can pick up 4th and 2. Go ahead and do that. But besides that, like some of the worst in-game decision making in the entire NFL. I am cautiously optimistic about Bieniemy and Howell and the Washington offense going forward.
Man, the Sam Howell thing, I think, could end up a total. This is no pun intended, but like a total howler of a decision. It could be immediately infamous.
Honestly, Pat, that sounds like an intended pun.
What do you think is more likely, week 1 starter, Sam Howell or Jarrett Stidham in Vegas?
Oh my God, how?
Okay, I mean, I think if they miss out on Rodgers, man, the power of belief courses through Josh McDaniels. He really believes in himself. He traded for Jarrett Stidham. He turned to him to be the end of season starter. I could see, if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, Josh McDaniels convincing himself that he's the Stidham whisperer. And I don't know. I don't know. But the Commanders, man, I think they could be trapping themselves. Who do you think would take a bigger leap forward with a real quarterback, the Saints or the Falcons in the AFC South, where quite literally all 4 teams need a quarterback in the AFC South, NFC South, excuse me.
I mean, for as kind of backward and super run heavy as Arthur Smith's offense was this year, the Falcons were not bad per EPA.
And they become a Death Star with Lamar Jackson.
They were adding a lot of expected points. Let's put it that way. With an offense that was almost designed to like run out the clock and like shorten games and like not move the ball super efficiently. But yeah, right. I mean, Lamar in Atlanta becomes really, really interesting. I will say that maybe it doesn't matter as much beyond the Lamar thing. Lamar matters. Lamar is a huge difference. But like if it's not a superstar quarterback, maybe it doesn't matter because that team is just relentlessly run heavy no matter what's happening.
Yeah, Derek Carr, that could be a place where he could go like 10 in the store and they could go 10-7.
I mean, he would just be like handoff machine there. Yeah.
They would, there'd be some really, really sick, like official team account highlight reels of Derek Carr handing the ball off in Atlanta.
Right. Did you see that toss to Tyler Algier?
Yeah, the flip, like a really dramatic, like when the quarterback does like that forward flip. And they zoom in on like the EDM is just pulsating.
Yeah.
And the ball, is flipping out of Derek Carr's hand. And like it was a social media guy just had like the best day of his life.
Yeah.
He had the drop coincide exactly. And then the ball lands in Algier's hands, and that's when the video speeds back up again. And then the Falcons radio announcer comes in. Algier gained 6 yards.
Right. The video will be titled QB1.
Yeah, of course. Goes without saying. I don't know who the Bucks. I mean, are the Bucks the quarterback away? I really wasn't sure where to put the Bucks on this list.
The Bucks.
The Bucks might be like in like their roster needs to be imploded, like an old sports arena. And are the Bucks? Would you say the Bucks? If the Bucks have Derek Carr, are they going to win the NFC South?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No, that team's gonna stink, man. That team stunk with Brady, and Brady was fine last year.
He was fine.
Like he wasn't great, but he was fine. But no, the Bucks should seriously consider, if you're listening, Bucks, you should seriously consider blowing it up completely and starting from scratch because it doesn't work. It doesn't work now.
I mean, this team could very easily go 3-14 this year.
Yeah.
It's weird because they still have a lot of talented players, but like the roster's got too old, too oriented around Brady. I mean, not that it was a bad thing. It was good that the roster was oriented around Brady, but yeah, they are a fiasco waiting to happen.
The kids, the Zoomers, will soon discover what we grew up with, which is a Tampa Bay Bucks team that stinks.
It stinks. Stadium 40% full, 30% of those are opposing fans. That was kind of happening even with Brady. Like they would sell out, but like opposing fans were still taking over the stadium.
I don't know the exact numbers right now on like a trade of Mike Evans, a trade of Chris Godwin. And when I say exact numbers, I don't know any of the numbers, but I would say, you consider those things right now, moving major pieces to contending teams, stocking up on picks.
What would you trade for Mike Evans in Dynasty right now?
Dynasty, I don't know.
Would you trade a 3rd-round pick for Mike Evans?
Yeah, I would.
I would for sure. Still, that's definitely, even if it's only for 1 year, that's like easy money.
Oh yeah, you do that for sure.
You do that for sure. Even if it's Kyle Trask starting a quarterback, even if it's Blaine Gabbert, you do that.
It can't be though, right? They can't do that. They're not going to. They actually won't. I see Bucks fans saying, "Oh, well, we have Trask." No, you don't. He's not even going to dress next year. Okay,
just stop. Yeah, that's a classic. Just stop.
Yeah, come on. No.
The show is a classic. Just stop because it's over. We're done for the day. Some good quarterback talk. There'll be a lot more quarterback talk because Derek Carr, I bet, will sign this week. Aaron Rodgers could be traded this week or next. And Aaron Rodgers will be traded, even though you can't officially be traded. Like the Rodgers trade, I think will probably be announced in the next week or two. There's going to be a lot of quarterback movement. So keep it locked to NBC Sports Edge / Rotoworld. Keep it locked to the show where I don't think I'll be here Thursday. We were talking before the show.
Yeah, well, I will be your host, folks, with possibly Kyle Dvorak and possibly Patrick Corain. We will look into that.
They will look into it very powerfully, very strongly. Maybe I'll call in from the hospital, tell you guys what to talk about. Like I might not be here, but I'm going to be dictatorial on how
you're going to be watching on Twitch and screaming at us the entire time.
Actually, maybe I will do that from the hospital. I don't know. My wife is late. Maybe I'll join the show with you. I don't know. I'm not going to be here Thursday. Denny will be
live from the delivery room. We bring in Pat Daugherty. Pat, what do we say about the Rodgers trade?
Yeah, and you see me in the delivery room, and for some reason it's a man in a suit. Like I was expecting to see maybe your wife and nurses. Like that's my divorce attorney. podcasting from the hospital. She divorced me.
His name is Johnny Suits.
Yeah. So, you have that to look forward to. So for Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. He'll be back later in the week. I'll be back soon. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you later.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.